What's up, everyone? I'm CL Connolly, and today I just wanted to talk about some great advice I received from my mom when I was growing up. I do have notes, but we'll see. So I want to know what's some great advice that you got growing up from, your mom, your dad, whatever, your parents, your aunts, uncles, anybody, right? So I want to know some great advice that you ever got. Some of these are silly, and I will explain them all. And some of them are serious and should be taken into account. Like when you think of everything you needed to know for life and how to be a person, you should have learned in kindergarten, right? Be patient, walk in a straight line, which nobody does anymore. They're all over the place in stores and stuff like that. You should really walk in a straight file line, right? A single file line through the aisles. Don't walk in a group. It's rude. But I'm just saying, there are certain things that we learned in kindergarten that should be taken into account as an adult, right? So anyway, so here's the first one. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. This is why I always say that I will never say anything that I have to apologize for later. Ever. I will never stab myself in the leg and just be like, spitting shit out of my mouth. And eventually someone's going to be like, oh, that is so offensive. You need to apologize. Okay, well, to me, I think if someone is offended by something I said, I'm not going to apologize for it. I said what I said, and that's it. It's not like what I said was rude. It's just that someone happens to be offended by it. That's it. It's going to happen. People are going to be offended by things. We've got so many people out there that are upset that certain celebrities weren't talking enough about this or talking enough about that. Who cares? Maybe the celebrities don't have an opinion on it. Why do they need to talk about it? Certain influencers were being forced to talk about certain things. Why should they be forced? Ooh, excuse me. Why should they be forced to talk about something? Maybe they didn't have anything nice to say. They weren't going to say anything at all. That's how that works. That's all I have to say about that. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Just, oh, what do you think about this outfit? I'm just saying, just leave it at that. Also, 2 things you never bring up in casual conversation: religion and politics. Okay? You never just sit down, have small talk with someone. Maybe you're hanging out with some friends and then randomly just decide you're going to start talking about religion. Have you talked to Jesus today? No, that's not how this works. You don't talk about that. Oh my God, who did you vote for in the latest elections? No, because what happens is when 2 people have opposing views, it starts an argument. So you never talk about religion and you never talk about politics. I have a friend who is a devout Jew. Like, she is so Jewish. She goes to temple. They do Hanukkah and stuff like that every year. Great. Perfect. I celebrate Christmas. Do we talk about religion? No. Actually, I take that back. We do talk about religion sometimes, but only when I tell her the stupid crap that I've heard in a church. When one time I was at a church and the pastor actually said that being Jewish was a race and not a religion at one point. Like, does that even make any sense to anybody anywhere at all ever? So yes, I mentioned that to her. She thought it was hilarious. We had a good laugh. That was it. I've asked her questions about being Jewish when I was writing my cult series because I needed to know a few little things, like the Torah and things like that, right? So I did ask her about that, but it wasn't casual conversation. It was like, hey, can I get your opinion for certain things? That's how that worked out. And it was okay. She didn't mind answering my questions. We're still great friends. I don't push my religion on her. She doesn't push her religion on me, and everything's all good. I don't believe in organized religion, so that's on everybody else. The only reason why I don't believe in organized religion is because I believe that people who go to, especially Christians, I'm going to say especially Christians. The ones who go to these Christian churches, they are Sunday Christians. Most of them. Most of them are Sunday Christians. They only do good things on Sundays because it's the Lord's day. Every other day, they're just assholes. That's what I believe. But 2 things you don't bring up in casual conversation: religion and politics. Just don't. Nobody needs to know who you voted for. Nobody needs to know, because like I've seen a lot of videos where, you know, certain groups of people, if you didn't vote their way, oh, I'm cutting off family, I'm cutting off friends. None of these people are gonna, you know, okay, now you're just angry about something that is completely superficial and it really doesn't mean anything. But all right, if you want to focus your entire life around politics, then that's on you. I don't focus my life on politics. I live my life and hope for the best. I don't care who's in the White House. Just whatever. Don't screw me over. The end. That's just how I feel about it, right? Nobody really knows what someone is going to do. They just know what someone else said about this person. And that's what they believe because someone else said it. So we really don't know what's going to happen. Let's just move on. Let's live our lives. Smile. Have a great time, because there's no reason to live life miserably. Really isn't. Don't talk about religion. Don't talk about politics. Boom. Done. Holidays are perfect that way because we don't discuss that shit. Also, when dating, now she told me this at my bachelorette party. And yes, my mother was at my bachelorette party, but I had a bachelorette party at a comedy club. That was my bachelorette party. Comedy club. And it was amazing and I loved it. So anyway, so when dating, don't buy the car without taking it for a test drive. That is the advice my mother gave me about dating. Before you get married, make sure that there's a little bit of chemistry going on, right? Yeah, so never buy the car without taking it for a test drive first. Don't get married with someone that you have not laid with. My mother's advice, hey, it was perfect. We're good. My husband and I have been married for almost 23 years now, so there's that. Anyway. Okay, so here's one. I was 9 and my mom let me sit in the front seat of this 2-door hatchback car that she got, right? And I'm sitting there and I see this little lever thing and it's got a button on the front of it. And I just keep on pushing that button. And my mom tells me, don't pull up on the emergency brake when you're driving or the engine will fall out. I didn't know what it was. I wasn't really sure. I was just messing with the button on it. She says, if you pull up on that while you're driving, the engine falls out of the car. I was 9. It was my mother. I believed her. I thought it was true. So when I was driving that same car several years later, and I had a friend who kept playing with that, I screamed at him and said, oh my God, don't play with the emergency brake while driving. If you pull that up, my engine will fall out. Okay, when you're 18 and you say something like that, people tend to think it's funny. And it is when you finally realize that that doesn't really happen. So yes, I was 18 when I found out that that's not what the emergency brake was for. And I always love it when I tell my mom things and then she goes, I never said that. And I'm like, you totally did, because it was stuck in my head. And I was terrified that my friend who was in the passenger seat was going to cause the engine to fall out of the car while I was driving. And my mom thought it was hilarious that that was something that I was scared of, that the engine was going to fall out of the car while I was driving, because that's what she told me. And sometimes your parents say things and you want to believe them. You really do. You really want to believe them. So you believe this for a really long time, and then you say it when you're older and you should know better. And then people laugh at you. because of it. It's still the one piece of advice that literally freaks me out. I have a really hard time using my emergency brake, even though I know that's not going to happen. And if I park at an angle, I will pull up the emergency brake, but I always make sure that the car is in park and turned off before I pull the emergency brake up. My husband always tells me I'm supposed to pull up the emergency brake before I turn the car off. I don't really know if that's true. But either way, it scares the crap out of me. And I always just have this feeling like, now I may show my age here and other people may understand. So if you are old enough to remember the car brand Saturn, okay, I remember back in the day that they had a safety feature where if you were hit head on at a hard enough, like, I don't know if you were hit hard enough, head on or something like that, like the entire contents under the hood just drops out of the car in order to keep it from like shoving into you. I don't know if that actually happened. I have no idea, but it was something I heard. Like, don't buy a Saturn because if you're hit head on, everything under the hood just drops out and then the car's totaled. Like, I don't really know if that's true, but that's what I heard. I have no idea. I don't know if it was like the engine or all of the contents or I don't know. I don't really remember. Saturn's been gone for a while. So, yeah, it's like Saturn and Hummer, I believe. Like Hummer, you have to order a special order or something. I don't know. The car companies have all gone nuts. But I'm just saying, I think I remember that with the Saturns and stuff like that. But I haven't seen a Saturn in forever, which is funny. But, you know, there's nobody works on them anymore because they don't make those cars anymore. So anywho, tell me some really interesting advice that your parents, aunts, uncles, whatever, grown-ups gave you when you were a child. Some advice that they gave you and you thought to yourself, that's some really good advice. Yeah, that's some really good advice. You know, and my parents always tell me too, when it comes to politics, my parents always tell me, if you don't vote, you can't complain. I get that. All right, cool. I don't care how they vote. I really don't. I don't care how my parents vote. I don't care how the rest of my family votes. That's just how I see it. To me, family is family. And the only way you're going to get cut off is if you fuck me over. That's how that works. So, anywho, the holidays are coming up. Next week is Thanksgiving. I will try to get a video. I'm trying to get videos posted because the Wi-Fi's out and we're still working on that. I have to call Verizon and get that taken care of. But my husband works so late that I need someone to take her while I'm dealing with the Wi-Fi box because she wants to chew on all the cords and I really don't want her to do that. So my husband's been working really late. And by the time he gets home, oh, she's ready for a nap. By the time he gets home, you know, it's basically time for bed and she's going to sleep and I'm not going to deal with it all right then. So anyway, the Wi-Fi box has been out for a few days. So I'm attempting to get it fixed. And whenever it's gloomy outside and kind of raining and stuff like that, there's nothing I can do. Like the cell service is kind of spotty. So it's kind of slow. Things don't really work that way. Even Snapchat's been running slow and Snapchat doesn't usually have an issue. But with the Wi-Fi, it's really been doing great. So we were really excited about it. But then all of a sudden it went out. So anyway, I'm working on that. Hopefully we can have some videos next week for Thanksgiving. That's going to be pretty cool, but that's it. That's all I got for you today. Tell me some advice your parents ever gave you. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or don't. I don't give a shit. Do whatever the fuck you want. And I'll see you guys later. Okay, bye.